The regional capital, Anadyr, stands out in the Arctic landscape with buildings painted in intense colors, used as a psychological response to long winters and monotonous white surroundings. In the early 2000s, under former Governor Roman Abramovich, Soviet-era apartment blocks were repainted in bright hues to counter color, deprivation, and seasonal depression. After 1991, the collapse of the planned economy and the shutdown of tin and tungsten mines caused Chukotka's population to drop by as much as 2/3, as residents sold their homes simply to afford a one-way flight to Moscow. Standing on the coast of Chukotka on a Monday afternoon, your line of sight reaches a place across the ocean where it is still Sunday afternoon. Qiantang River is one of the very few rivers on Earth where tidal water can surge upstream with force far beyond normal expectations. Instead of flowing calmly toward the sea, tides from the East China Sea are funneled inland by a narrowing estuary, forming powerful walls of water that race against the river current. The interaction between tidal phases and river geometry produces layered surface ripples that align into scale-like patterns, moving continuously across the water. The energy of the tidal bore is strong enough to sweep people into the river within seconds, even in areas equipped with embankments and warning systems. Recorded continuously for over 2,000 years since the Han Dynasty, the Qiantang River is regarded as the most powerful and consistently observed tidal bore phenomenon on the planet. Daryaboi is one of the most unique and isolated ancient villages in China, existing as a rare pocket of human survival deep inside the harsh Taklamakan Desert. The village is surrounded by millennia-old populous Euphratica trees, a species capable of extreme drought resistance that turns bright gold in autumn, creating a landscape that feels almost unreal. All life in Daryaboi depends on the lower reaches of the Karaya River, where flowing water disappears into sand and leaves behind underground reserves that sustain both people and ancient forests. To withstand sandstorms and extreme day-to-night temperature shifts, residents build homes entirely from local materials, using poplar frames and mud-coated willow walls as an example of extreme environmental adaptation. A A symbol of coexistence with the desert is kucha bread, baked by burying dough directly in hot sand beneath layers of ash from desert firewood. Each morning, the Keria people gather around the fire with warm salted milk tea, preserving a way of life that values spiritual sufficiency over material wealth. Uro's Floating Islands is a one-of-a-kind artificial archipelago made entirely from layered totora reeds woven together to form floating land masses in the heart of Lake Titicaca. Situated at over 12,500 feet above sea level, it is the highest navigable lake settlement on Earth, where the thin air can leave you breathless after a simple conversation. How can a village drift across a lake? The Uro's people can sever anchor ropes and move their islands to new positions for protection, a defense strategy passed down for generations. Walking here means stepping on a living platform that constantly decays beneath your feet, requiring fresh layers of reeds to be added regularly to keep homes dry and afloat. Amazingly, the white core of these reeds, known as the banana of Lake Titicaca, is edible and rich in iodine, helping residents maintain oral health. Saltstraumen is a narrow strait known for hosting the world's strongest tidal current. Over 14 billion cubic feet of water surges through this strait with each change of the tide, representing an immense volume. At its peak, the current can reach speeds of up to 25 miles per hour, far exceeding the pace of many common forms of transport. This powerful flow generates colossal maelstroms, measuring up to 33 feet in diameter and 16 feet deep, making them among the most potent known to humanity.
Right.
This phenomenon occurs 4 times daily, twice during the incoming tide and twice during the outgoing tide, and the roar of the water is audible from a distance when the current reaches its maximum intensity. Montzel Sea forts once formed an offshore defensive line protecting Britain during World War II, but later became the foundation for the self-proclaimed micronation known as the Principality of Sealand. After the British military withdrew in the 1960s, the forts were quickly abandoned and turned into idle bases for pirate radio stations such as Radio Caroline and Screaming Lord Sutch, broadcasting illegally deep into the United Kingdom. The army forts designed by engineer Guy Montzel resemble giant three-legged war machines, often compared to the tripods from the novel War of the Worlds. Rather than standing alone, complexes like Red Sands and Shivering Sands were arranged as clusters of 7 steel towers linked by narrow suspended walkways. And today, boat tours departing from Whitstable or Herne Bay allow visitors to observe these massive structures as they are slowly eroded by salt and time. Curran Salt Lake is a place where trains and heavy trucks travel directly on salt, a material that would normally disintegrate upon contact with water. Here, the so-called 10,000 Jang Salt Bridge is in fact a roadway approximately 20 miles long, built directly on the surface of the Salt Lake, serving both the Qinghai-Tibet Railway and a highway linking Golmud with Dunhuang. This structure uses no reinforced concrete or bridge piers, relying entirely on a natural salt crust between 50 and 60 feet thick, strong enough to support the daily loads of trains and heavy freight vehicles.
And don't forget my cough syrup.
Is it a wet or dry cough?
Don't take a chance. Take Vicks Actor Plus. Unlike other cough syrups, its dual action formula relieves both wet and dry cough. Vicks Actor Plus.
Experience connection with Style Matrix for $4.99. Save 30.
On the lake surface, salt does not form a flat plane, but crystallizes into unusual shapes resembling pearls, coral, or lotus pedestals due to the hot, arid climate and extremely high salinity. Beneath this surface layer lies an estimated 50 billion tons of salt, along with vast reserves of potassium and lithium, transforming Curran from what might appear to be a barren salt field into a foundation for large-scale transportation infrastructure and resource extraction. This stands in sharp contrast to Saladiu Uni, where salt primarily exists to be observed rather than actively used as an industrial and infrastructural base. The Jaran Desert is one of the few deserts on Earth known for the singing sand phenomenon, where massive dunes generate thunder-like sounds. When wind sweeps across the slopes or people slide down the dunes, friction between uniform sand grains produces a booming vibration that can last for more than 1 minute. Despite an extremely arid climate with evaporation far exceeding rainfall, the desert contains more than 140 permanent lakes scattered among towering dunes. Several lakes change color throughout the day or seasons, shifting from emerald green to deep red or violet due to salt-tolerant microorganisms and Artemia algae. In a single area, two neighboring lakes may coexist with completely different chemistry, one freshwater fed by underground springs and the other hypersaline and lifeless. Built in 1755, Jaran Temple stands beside a desert lake and remains unburied by sand, serving as a spiritual center for nomadic Mongolian families living around isolated oases. Fairy Meadows Road is a challenging pathway located in the mountainous northern region of Pakistan, specifically Gilgit-Baltistan, leading to a stunning green valley known as Fairy Meadows. This road is extremely narrow, unpaved and bumpy, frequently featuring sharp turns alongside deep ravines without protective barriers, making it considered one of the most dangerous roads in the world. The area is also highly susceptible to landslides following heavy rains or snow melt, which can block the road or even pose direct danger. Fairy Meadows serves as the main starting point for exploring and viewing one of the world's highest and most formidable mountains up close, posing a significant challenge for climbers. Although the journey here is exceptionally difficult and challenging, most visitors agree that the scenery and experience Fairy Meadows offers are entirely worth the effort. Hunza Valley is often described as a real-life Shangri-La, a place that captivates the human imagination with scenery that feels surreal and almost unreal. One of its most striking landscapes was formed in just a few hours after a catastrophic landslide, leaving behind a turquoise lake so intensely colored that it feels unnatural, trapped between towering gray cliffs. The Karakoram Range defies visual logic with the Lady Finger Peak, a needle-sharp granite spire rising at nearly a 90-degree angle, so steep that snow